My script is in the pouch.
Seats at the front. If we're running out of that, no one wants to sit at the front always. Welcome everybody. It's absolutely wonderful to see so many people here, and we've got a fabulous mix of people in the room today. We've got a lot of long-established fair traders that we know. We've got people like myself who are fairly new to the fair trade world, and we've got a large group from George Watson's College who I believe are advanced higher students studying business management and interested in hearing more about fair trade and ethical businesses. So you've come to the right place, and hopefully you'll learn a bit today. You will also at the end be able to have more samples on the stall if you didn't have time just now, so don't worry, there's plenty there. A couple more people coming in. Do come in. There's some seats at the front if there's none left at the back. So, first of all, just a couple of thank yous. I wanted to say thank you to Tracy Mitchell, who set up this meeting but can't be here today. It was her idea to meet here and to have a combined meeting between ourselves at True Origin, Scotland Malawi Partnership, who I want to thank for sorting out all the IT, the advertising and nice funding for us, and True Origin, and Mary Popple here and myself are from True Origin. So thanks to all those who helped bring the day together. So who are we at True Origin? My name's Joyce. So I chair what is now called True Origin Partnerships, and we used to be the Balmore Trust, who some people in the room may know about. We're a charity that has been involved in fair trade and related work for about 40 years. And for the last 15 years, we've been working with an amazing group of farmers in Malawi, who you'll hear more about just now. So I chair the charity bit of the organisation, and Mary, who you're going to hear a lot more from shortly, is the chair of the food retail business. So she's the businessy head in this. And then we have Howard, who's our very special guest here from Malawi. I've realised that Howard knows more people in the fair trade world in Scotland than I do, because he's been here quite a few times before. But it's a great opportunity to hear directly from a farmer growing rice in Malawi how important fair trade is and how important just ethical trading is and what a difference it makes on the ground. And that's why we're all here. Howard is here from an organisation called CASFA, which is Kaporo Smallholder Farmers Association. They have 5,000 farmers in their organisation, and he's been a great ambassador both for CASFA and for fair trade. Howard was one of the founder members of the Farmers Organisation, so he's been there from the beginning. He's visited Scotland 7 times. He has chaired the board of the Farmers Association, and although he's no longer doing that, he's still a member. So we're really delighted to have Howard here again with us today. So Mary's going to start off the session by talking about, just before that, we're going to show a little video that sets the scene a bit about some of the challenges farmers are facing today. And then Mary's going to talk about the challenges and joys of running a fair trade social enterprise. And then have a conversation with Howard about the partnership that's grown up over since we first started working with CASFA. And then Howard will speak more about the importance of fair trade to the farmers and why trade justice is so important. So I hope that gives you a little flavour of what we're going to do. At the end, you can buy goodies from the One World Shop stall, and you can taste our True Origin products, and you can also have more tea and coffee. So we'll start with a little video that just shows some of the challenges the farmers are facing, and then I'll hand over to Mary.
The impact of climate change, which is very negative to the production of crops on the farmers. From where I'm standing, if you look at the riverbank, this riverbank, some 8 days ago, was about, this time it would be very close to me, but this time it's about 5 meters away from me, which means the water has managed through its force to carry away some 2 meters of land. So if you can see on top of the riverbank, we have cassava, which means about 22 meters of the cassava field has been washed away. That side is the rice, some 22 meters. It's even more from here if we talk about rice. Some 22 meters of rice fields have been washed away. And if you closely look all around the cave, the riverbank, the rice has been washed away. So what it means is already the farmer is expecting very low production because most of the rice has gone, and the farmer is expecting hunger in the households because the alternative foods which we eat instead of rice, which are cassava and maize, have been washed away. So we didn't expect this, and we cannot control it. This is the negative impact of climate change we are experiencing this year. From what we have learned is that all these floods are because of deforestation, which has been very common up here. Farmers who have no money, farmers who depend on cutting trees for charcoal, have destroyed the hills. The hills have become plain, no trees. So because of that, like in our case as Kapos Model Farmers Association, and in my case as Howard Msukwa, we are trying to bring in an alternative to cutting trees. But it's not very serious because so far we've just made 2 groups which have started producing briquettes. So we are looking at it as an alternative. If we can intensify the production of briquettes as an alternative to cutting trees, which means maybe in 15 years' time or so, we can see trees coming back on the hills, and then we can see how the rains would be, the water from the rains would be controlled as it comes up from the hills. But at this time, the water just flows very fast because the hills have no trees. So probably that is the only alternative. The other thing is, what I've talked about is the irrigation on the production side. Many farmers who can afford are going for irrigation because after floods, in many flatlands, the water leaves a lot of water because on the ground because the water table comes up. So those who can manage will always go for irrigation and produce winter rice. So that's the only way we can help ourselves. Otherwise, it is very difficult for most of the smallholder farmers.
Hi, Sir David.
Welcome to the
Okay. Are you ready to go? Hi, everybody. It's so nice to see so many people here, and so nice to see all of you from those boxes. You're very welcome. As I said, I'm Mary Buckle. I am chair of True Origin Foods, and that is a social enterprise which imports foodstuffs from the global south and sells them throughout the UK. We're a small social enterprise, 6 people. We're based in Paisley, where we have a warehouse. And since 2009, we have imported and sold
high-quality food products from smallholder farmers and producers in some of the poorest parts of the world, particularly sub-Saharan Africa. We rebranded, and some of you will know from previously, we will have known this as JTS, or Best Food in Scotland. We rebranded over the last 3 years to True Origin. And the reason for that was to make the most of the connectivity and the relations between our producers and ourselves. At the same time, the Balmore Trust changed to True Origin Partnerships, and we know that between us, we are more than the sum of the parts. So the retail arm and the projects arm make the most of everything we do. Capacity building work continues in Malawi, Eswatini, South Africa, and Kenya through a number of small grants and projects. Howard will tell us more about those projects in a little while, but first of all, we'll talk about True Origin. But before that, we should all congratulate ourselves on 30 years of fair trade in the UK. We're very proud of that, and we're also very proud of 15 years of fair trading in Scotland through True Origin. A brief history of True Origin, since some of you may have never heard of us until a couple of days ago. We grew out of the coach house in Balmore, which was a very early fair trade shop, of which Professor John Riches of Glasgow University and his wife Nena set up following a year spent in the Transkei in South Africa during the apartheid era. They couldn't believe the appalling poverty and injustice they saw, and when they came back to Scotland, they couldn't just let it go. Their thinking was also inspired by a lady from Bangladesh. She had set up an enterprise to make saris and provide work for women who would otherwise be destitute on the streets of cities in Bangladesh. John didn't feel that he could sell their saris and instead offered her money. She said, "Don't give us money, we want dignity through trade." In 2019, at around about our 10th anniversary, that became our strapline, dignity through trade. Crucially, True Origin Foods has WFTO guaranteed status, which means that all the processes that we control abide by the 10 principles of fair trade. In addition, True Origin Partnerships have supported some of our producers to achieve producer status with WFTO as well. Sorry, I have something here. In a couple of moments, Howard will talk to us about how important that is for the farmers in the Karonga area. So True Origin began by importing rice from smallholder farmers in Malawi, following a Malawi trade event in Glasgow. In early 2009, a container, that's about a ton, of this unique rice was heading to Scotland. That was quite a scary moment. 15 years later, and we have grown to selling more than £500,000 worth of finest fairly traded food products across our 5 producer companies in sub-Saharan Africa per year. That is a huge move and incredibly successful. Our business is built on long-term and sustainable relationships with producers, importing and selling their excellent foodstuffs through our own online shop and through shops such as the One World shop here, and through community groups, through schools, churches, guiding groups, whatever. We sell in multiple places. We also have our Friends range now, which includes Halil, Divine, Cafe Direct, and so on, so that when you come to our online shop, you can buy a complete basket of goods. So I was asked about the joys and the challenges of running this social enterprise. I can think of many challenges, and let's talk about them. Running a business on fair trade principles means that we are wholly committed to change. Change in the way business is done and change in the way the world works. This means that instead of rewarding shareholders, we aim to redistribute wealth and opportunity towards the people we work with in the global south. That is not a normal business model. Fairness, sustainability, and partnership come first. imagine how you go about importing from smallholder farmers and selling their produce ethically? What does that simple phrase mean? It turns everything upside down from the normal terms of trade. How does it compare to major businesses such as Nestle or Kraft or the supermarkets such as Tesco? These are actually our competitors in the food product space. I'll give you one example. In reality, if you trade ethically and fairly, then you have to pay producers in a timely manner when they need it. Under WFTO rules, this means paying at least 50% of a contract price when a contract is agreed. And that is what we do. The balance is then paid on arrival in the UK. This is absolutely not what a capitalist, profit-driven company does. They pay as late as possible, quite probably 30 days after they receive goods. So what does that mean for the producer? They receive payment long after they have carried out their work. And that means they carry cost on behalf of us. And we are the ones who can afford that cost. That is not fair trade, and it is not ethical. True Origin is probably one of the very few businesses that is attempting to turn that on its head. In the case of rice coming from Malawi, we will pay 50% of contract, generally around about July, August, when the harvest comes in, and that's about 9 months before we can start selling the rice. We pay the second 50% a few weeks before the rice arrives in our warehouse once it has been received into the UK. Now that ties up capital that pays the farmers when they need to be paid in order to feed their families, clothe them, put a roof on the house, or whatever else they need to do. This is actually what trading as an ethical social enterprise means. Is it important? Yes, and others are starting to see it that way. The UN Enterprise for Nature Fund initiative, they've come to talk to us about what trading ethically with smallholder farmers really means. Change is slow, but we are still here, 15 years on, and we're still growing. So what about the joys? We have a wonderful team in Paisley. We have 6 people, some of whom would never have got a job if it wasn't for True Origin. They work their socks off to make sure that True Origin works. And that is a dividend in Scotland to fair trading with sub-Saharan Africa. Who'd have thought it? Doing something worthwhile. Getting up in the morning and feeling that actually you're making a difference to people's lives. And we will hear about those differences in a couple of minutes from Howard. And then there's working with the producers, working with people like Howard, people like our friends in Kenya who run Meru, who run a cooperative of women to bring in, and we import their jams and their sauces. People like the people who have the beer bread in the Western Cape in South Africa. All of these people benefit from their relationship with True Origin, and it is why we do what we do. Now, I've come to the producers, so I think it's time for me to shut up and we start talking. Thank you very much. I'll be happy to take questions at any time on any of that. Yeah, we'll take more questions, we'll take the questions at the end together. Now, so let's hear firsthand from Howard about what he does. So I shall sit down and I shall be passing the microphone to Howard and asking him some questions. So to get started, Howard, could you please tell us a little about yourself, your family, and your farm and what you grow there?
Thank you. First of all, I must take this moment to thank you all for this house today. I know most of you have met, some of you have met in different forums in the past. I know Rachel, I know Martin, and some of the faces are not. But I must also take this time to thank my fellow Malawian, because when she heard that I'm here, she came and spoke to me. So I don't take that for granted. But we can well be
It's gone.
in another design. That's great. So thank you very much for being open to us. Indeed, as you have heard from Mary, I am Howard Msukwa. I come from Karonga in the northern part of Malawi. I am not a manager, a volunteer from Kaporo Small Farmers Association. I am a farmer. I have 3 acres of land where I do my farming. Each year I produce about 2,500 metric tons. I don't have employees on my farm. It's my family which work on the farm. I have a pair of oxen, a plow. I have 2 children and 4 grandchildren. In Malawi, we live in extended family. So I also live with my mother, and I used to live with 3 other children because my elder brother passed away. He left 3 children. So this time the children got educated and they are employed elsewhere. So that is all about my farm. I am one of the founders of Kaporo Small Farmers Association, which was formed in 2001. From 2001, we used to grow tomato as an organization, but we didn't know much about the importance of quality and that in this world there are standards. So such that when you sell your crops to other countries, you have to be aware of what the market requires of you to do. So in 2009, 2010, we met our colleagues who are now True Origin, and since then we have been partners. When Mary was saying about joy that True Origin has, I think you should also add that it's joyful that you have been able to bring about Malawian smallholder farmers all the way from Malawi to this country, which we don't take for granted. It's really an honor to us. Not only me, some of you can remember that I've come away with some colleagues at some point. Since we started dealing with the True Origin, there are a lot of changes which we have experienced. When we didn't know that there is the certified seed, which is required if you are dealing with the other countries, we started buying basic seed from research institutions so that we can be multiplying it into certified seed to give our farmers. And we didn't know that through certified seed, you can get high yield as compared to recycled seed. Thank you to True Origin because you supported us with funds for such a project to the extent that today, Kaporo Smallholder Farmers is a registered seed grower association. So every year we have farmers who multiply seed and we work hand in hand with research institutions in Malawi. The other thing is, since we started working with the True Origin, there is a huge difference between farmers who are members of our association and non-members, because our partnership, which is fair trade, encourages us to bargain for prices during marketing, because we have the bargaining power. We get a fair price for our produce than our colleagues who are not members, who just sell their produce to any vendor who comes across with any measure in the village. So that's a huge motivation to farmers, and most of the farmers would like to join us. You have heard about the challenges of climate change. I know there are issues of climate change here. To you people who are in Scotland, climate change is a story or something that you see in books or in movies. If you say you experience the effect of climate change, I can challenge you, you don't. But we do. Because I'm not sure if any one of you have ever seen someone sleeping in a house at night or in the afternoon you are just seated on your home and all of a sudden you have a hailstorm which would come and blow off the roof of your home. You could be seeing the roof of your home being blown up, traveling in the air and go and drop anywhere the wind can take it. Or when you've seen the riverbank, which I was talking about in the video. It's not only the riverbank, even the rice field. There are times when the rice can be submerged underwater for 3-4 days. And when the water is gone, the rice is dead. So the kilometer rice which we produce will take about 6 months from the day you sow it, the grains in the soil, to the day you start harvesting. Now, if the floods come when the rice is 2 months old, time for planting new crop is gone. That means that year you don't have a cash crop. It's not only that. Sometimes we have dry spells. You can plant your rice, it can be looking very well, maybe for a month or so. Then you have a prolonged dry spell which will take maybe 6 weeks, no rain. In Karonga, it's very hot. Temperatures can go up to 38, 40 degrees. So if you have 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks without rain, it means all the water is gone and the soil starts cracking, then the rice starts dying on the field. So if you experience that, which means by the time you have rains, you have it for a very short time and you cannot plant the kilombero anymore. But because of this partnership, we have been able to mitigate the effect of dry spells because we've been able to get motorized and solar pumps. So when you have dry spells or when our crops are washed away and the soil starts drying, we dig wells because the water table is not very deep because we are very near to the lake. So when we dig the wells, we have water, then we can start irrigation. Thank you to True Origin for the support that you give us. So it's not only that, True Origin, because you hear the mention of John Richards, who is the founder of True Origin, and some other members of True Origin do visit us and they see how we live. So they understand our situation. There was a time when these people come over, they find that children like you who are children who go to school, when it's time for harvesting, you have to help your parents to carry the produce on the head or shoulders from the field to home. So if your field is about, let's say, 1 kilometer away from home, and like in my case, you have what the field 2.5 tons. You have to carry that on the head to your home. So if you are 4 or 5, you have to walk maybe 8, 9 times. So if you are going to walk 8 times, which means in that day with something on your head, you are going to walk for 16 kilometers, which is very heavy. But because of the support that you have from True Origin, and especially because of the support that we have from you people who buy our rice, we've been able to get some funds to buy ox carts for the farmer, so that at least instead of carrying the rice on our heads, we are able to use the ox cart. We've been able to buy tarpaulin because in the past, threshing was done on very little mats, but because of this partnership, we were able to buy good tarpaulin for threshing the rice. It's not only that. Some of you were telling me that you have been to Malawi and you have been to villages in the desert. You know what it means to go to school in Malawi, and especially what it means to go to primary school. Most of the people who qualify from primary school to secondary school in the villages, they could be very intelligent, but they fail to go ahead with the school because their parents can either not afford to pay school fees or they have no parents to support them. Thank you again to True Origin through our partnership because they've been able to support us so that we support some children in secondary schools. When we started it was like we are just starting it so that these children, when they go up to the last class of secondary school, they can find something to do. But I can tell you here that from this partnership, from the education side, we now have graduates. In fact, you said these were studying agricultural economics. Yes, we have at the moment, one boy is doing agricultural economics at Rwanda in Europe, and he is the best in class. So without this partnership, he would be roaming in the village as if he is not intelligent. So it's a very good partnership. At the same time, because of this partnership, I have created a skills development center. As I said that many children drop out of school, so at my skills development center, we don't consider education to bring in the youth to come and learn skills. Anyone who is eligible, he wants to find something to do for his life, for her life, we bring them in. Now we have in the village people who can do welding and fabrication, people who can do tailoring, design and fashion, people who can do carpentry and joinery. And recently, we have just introduced this meeting to the community. It is doing very well. So all this is because of this partnership. It's not only about the business side. And for your information, our organization is also registered under the World Fair Trade Organization. So it's all over fair trade that we do. Thank you, Mary.
Can I ask you another? Can I ask you another question about that? I mean, CASA was the first organisation in Malawi to get WFTO status. What has that meant for the community, for individuals within your community to have that status?
Yes. For individual, our organization, CASFA, is the first in Malawi to have such a certificate. And we are the first community to know that there is fair trade in the world. And we are the first community to be able to understand how fair trade is important to the communities in the villages. Because we can sit down and say, no, from today onwards, no more child abuse. I was saying, you as children are supposed to be carrying bags of rice on the head. But because you are fair trade, no more. Even in Africa, I think you people who have been there can agree with me in Malawi, most of the work on the farm is done by women. But now, because of fair trade principles, the principles of fair trade have allowed us to learn that we are equal. So there is no abuse, no gender abuse on the farm. We are the first community that is going through such changes. It's because of the True Origin partnership.
Thank you, Howard. And one other question from me, which is around a project that's very close to my heart, which is the Briquette project. You were talking about climate change and things that can be done about that and about deforestation. Could you tell us more about the Briquette project?
Yes. One of the things that came across us with hope that we've got partners who can support us. One lady who belongs to the Rural Women Assembly, who is also an active member of the Kaporo Smallholder Farmers, thought of how we can reduce the hard work that women face when they go up to fetch firewood and bring the long bundles of firewood on their head. So she said, can't we come up with something like making something briquettes from rice husks so that you can be using the briquettes for cooking instead of going up to fetch firewood. So they said that to me. Okay, but what can we do? So we thought that we have Mary and Joyce. Maybe we can tell these about this good news, good idea from these ladies. Maybe they can support us. So when we told True Origin about this, they responded positively. And it did not take long. It did not take long. They only told us, can you come up with a budget of what you want? So we have two beautiful structures in two different places, and we have small machines which are able to make briquettes from the rice husks. So instead of the machines are small, we just want to scale up for these women to have good business which can bring money into their families and can reduce deforestation. And at the same time, the women will not be able to go into the hills to carry the firewood back home. It is a very nice project.
Thank you, Howard. I think what you've been telling us is all about the network of things that can happen once fair trade is allowed to flourish in an area. We need to thank you for all the networking you have done when you come to Scotland, all the inspiration you have given so many people here and in your own community, to keep going, to think of new things, to never say that's too difficult. I think that's a message that we all should have, that it's never too difficult for us to help other people. Back to you, Joyce.
Yeah, so I think we'll pause there and take some questions from people. I can show you some pictures of the briquette project if we want to at the end. I think let's just chat a bit more first. Do we have any questions that anyone would like to ask, either Howard or Mary? And we'll have to run backwards and forwards with the microphone to make sure everyone can hear. We have a question here.
Howard, we're heading to Malawi in a few weeks, and I'm just keen to know where the machines are for the briquette project, and is it possible for us to visit?
Yeah.
Then Kalonga, and you are most welcome. I'll be reading on the 23rd. If you leave after when I'm already there, I can welcome and host you.
There is a group in Mangochi, is it? Who make briquettes out of rice husks.
You'll be in Malawi.
So maybe that would be more practical. We would like you to see our project, but that might be more realistic. Yeah.
You go to Udawareza, which is a Catholic farm. Yeah, it's not very far from Mangochi. Udawareza.
Any more questions? Deadly silence. Howard's obviously answered everything. Yeah.
Just Howard, I'm just curious, with the briquettes that are being made, are they being sold to the local community, or are they just for the ladies groups to use themselves?
They're being sold. They are being sold to the local community, but as I said, that the machines that you have are too small. I think we made a mistake because after starting to make the briquettes, we advertised them, we promoted them. So there's a lot of pressure coming from the community than the production which you are doing now.
I just wanted to ask about how outlets for selling the rice in this country. I'm aware that a few years ago, the 90-kilogram challenge was really popular, but it feels as though that's ebbed away a bit. Maybe not. Sorry, can you hear?
Yeah, absolutely. I can
I
answer
think
that.
we'll let me answer that one.
I noticed that it was on sale in some supermarkets, but I'm not sure if it is now, like a co-op in Scotland.
It's not on sale in supermarkets in Scotland. Howard and I spent 3 days in Lichfield last week, where we were guests of the Central Co-op in England. And Central Co-op in England has set up a 5-year Our Malawi partnership, it's called, where they are importing goods from, I think it's currently 5 producers, and we are one of those. So that you can buy anywhere in sort of Staffordshire, and that part of England, you can buy kilo better rice off the shelf. It's brilliant. And that came about because Debbie Robinson, their CEO, visited Malawi some years ago and was inspired that when she got to a position of CEO in an organization, she would do something for Malawi. It has taken her a lot of time to get through all the red tape in her own organization to sell this, but it is there. We would dearly love other co-op businesses to take it on as well. That's the first. I think Mid-Counties in England, which is the one next to Central, they have just bought some Kilonbera rice as well. So rice is on sale in some co-ops in England, not in Scotland yet. It is on sale online from our shop directly, and it will be brought straight to your door, which is really quite handy because it's, as Howard has said, it's heavy stuff. And the 90 kilogram challenge was very challenging during the COVID years. Schools had been our primary place where 90 kilogram rice challenge took place. Since COVID, schools have struggled to get back on track with many things, as I'm sure the teachers who are here today will acknowledge. But we have seen recently a bit of an uptake. We would be delighted to be selling more 90 kilogram rice challenges. It's great for us. It's, if you like, a straightforward sell for the social enterprise. It means the same as it always meant, and I asked Howard, we sat talking about this the other night, is 90 kilograms still a reasonable amount that would suggest you could send a child to school if that was your choice, by selling that amount of rice. This is not something that says 90 kilograms of rice that will definitely send somebody to school. This is all about opportunity and choice for farmers. We sell the rice so that they can choose what they do with their salary, with their wages, just like we expect. So that's what the 90 kilogram challenge is. We love it when schools take it up. I believe that George Watson's has said yes today. That is brilliant. Churches do it. Please keep doing it. It really is part of our sell, if you like. Anything more you'd like to add on the 90 kilogram rice challenge? No?
No, I think we've had quite a lot of interest this week just with Howard being here actually. I think, as Mary said, a lot of schools have struggled to get back up with these things after COVID, and it feels this year as if there's more interest. But we had the same question in Dundee yesterday where there isn't a shop in Dundee that sells Kilonbera rice. So we need to look at how we can get it out there so people can buy more. Obviously people can buy online, but it would be nice if we could get it into more shops. Any more questions? Yeah.
Does like the rice get made in your community, and is it like men and women making it, or I don't know if you already said, but
Yeah.
You are saying who are the farmers who make the rice? First of all, I must tell that I'm one of them. And we don't make the rice, but we grow it.
But you process it.
And we process it. After, when we farmers sell to the association, as an association, we have a processing mill. So we process it and put it in bags. We sell some of it in Malawi, and we send some of it here.
Howard, what percentage of your farmers are women? I think there was a question about, is it women and men? Can you tell us what percentage of Casper rice farmers?
Since we started the association, there has always been about 39% men and the rest are women. So always women are more than men in the association.
There's another question somewhere at the back. Yeah.
Thanks very much. Firstly, thank you to Howard for an amazing insight into how rice is going in Malawi. Really, fascinating to hear. I guess my question is linked to the previous question about distribution, and I guess maybe it's more for you, Mary. And it's, I guess we're all very conscious now about the cost of living crisis in the UK, and everyone is much more, I guess, price sensitive. And I was just curious to know how does one address that challenge when it comes to a competitive marketplace? You mentioned Tesco as a competitor. Does one have to accept that these products will inevitably be at a different price point to other products in the marketplace, and you don't waste time and energy trying to counteract that? Or is there some kind of factor to do with volume, which means that eventually you can become competitive? And I'm not saying we're not competitive, it's just it's a different kind of product, but I'm also aware as a consumer of how sensitive the rice product is. And I'm particularly aware of it because within the Asian community, rice is a staple. And I'm incredibly familiar with, the nuances of how much, in my case, basmati rice costs. And I know just for every supermarket and how much a 10 kg bag costs. And I'm sure that your product won't be in the same bracket. So I'm just curious to know, is that an ambition, or do we just accept that this is a different niche and therefore a different niche target audience? I guess that's my question.
Thank you. Great question. No easy answers.
No easy answers. There is definitely no easy answer to that one. We have seen our rice when it was in 1 kilogram bags selling in Chelsea in London for, when we were selling it up here for £2.50, we were sold quite happily for £7. I would say that we will never compete with any product that is not a premium product. So our rice will always be more expensive than other products. But having said that, last week in Central Co-op, I was walking around the shelves and I saw, and I don't mean to advertise another company, I saw Tilda rice for, it was basmati rice for ½ kilogram for £3.40. Now that's not a million miles from where we sell it off our online shop, which really surprised me. So I think we're never going to be in the real volume. We take about 1/10 of what Howard's community grow. We're never, I cannot see the way that we will grow to get to being a really significant producer or seller in this country. Growing a social enterprise business, when you've heard what I just said, is an incredibly difficult thing, because where do you get the money to grow from? That is always my question. We sat at a board meeting of True Origin Foods on Monday, thinking about our strategy for the future. Where do we want to be in 5 years? We want to be here. We want to be solvent, and we want to be doing the right things for our producers. And when you put those three things together, you don't sleep at night, because it is a very conflicting set of requirements. I'm not answering your question, because I'm not sure there is any real answer. We will sell our premium products at the price that they will bear. At the moment, yes, there is a cost of living crisis here, but I would argue that there are people who can still afford to choose to buy Kingdom Barrel rice if they want to. And it is our choice that is important.
I guess that was kind of what I was hinting at, is that despite the fact that we have the economic situation, if you decide that you're addressing a particularly niche audience which has the purchasing power and indeed the mentality to say, I want to buy this product, then I guess it makes it the job easier for you to say, right, we're just focusing on those niche segments or target audiences and direct your comms and your marketing towards those people. I mean, I'm thinking particularly of let's take someone like Asma Said Khan in London and all the initiatives she does with Darjeeling Express, employing only women. If you had Asma on board and she has huge influence, and Asma were to say, I only, or I like, you know, your brand of rice, those are some of the things that can affect market perception within that niche audience.
That's incredibly helpful. And it is all of that changing perceptions and actually having influencers out there who will help us. And it was one of the things we talked about. How do we get influencers in the food business to say, Bearer rice? Because once you've tried it, I don't buy any other rice. It is wonderful. Howard, can you tell us how you feel about your rice?
I feel very proud of rice because when I go around the UK and meet people who have tried it, they have all fallen in love with it and they never leave it. Once a mayor of Skipton, we were with John Riches 6 years ago. He had lived in Asia on military missions for many years. But when he came back and tasted the Kilombero rice, he said, I've eaten so many types of rice in Kilombero, and as the mayor of Skipton, I endorse this rice to be the best in the world.
I think you know, as you pointed out, that it's a niche market for people interested. The other thing that we're often asked is about importing rice, and people are interested in sustainability. And is it right to transport goods across the world? Should it stay in Malawi where there's a food shortage? It's not grown to feed people locally, it's grown as a cash crop because the community needs cash. So the community in where Howard comes from, it's not their staple food. So they grow it to sell. So buying it brings money into the community. And it's grown, yes, there's issues about transporting goods around the world. But when you listen to the farmers and hear stories, these are smallholder farmers who are not contributing to climate change by their farming methods. Everything's done by hand, everything's done sustainably. And yes, we ship it, but we don't air freight it. So it's probably creating less to climate change than many products that are grown in this country. So we do think about these things, and I think we can appeal to an ethical audience. And in fact, it was voted the most ethical rice in the UK a few years ago by Ethical Consumer magazine, who looked at all the aspects of growing and transporting rice and gave us an ethical high rating. It's also got Great Taste Awards, and these things are important when we're trying to sell them. And it is expensive, but if you look at specialty rices in supermarket, it's not the most expensive one on the shelves. Any more questions? One here and then one at the back. Yeah.
Hi, so in terms of, I suppose that there's a bit of a segue, here, talking about sustainability and agriculture and climate change. In terms of the farming practices that your community uses, have you had to adapt any of those to types of sustainable or regenerative climate smart agriculture? I know there's a million different terms out there. So yeah, I'm just curious about whether there's been any changes in the farming methods.
Yes. If you heard me when I was talking about maybe I didn't talk about the structure of our management team. We have a management team for the association. So we have the manager and the association field roster. So the association and field roster, they play a big role in training with farmers in modern agriculture and good agricultural practices, including what you have just mentioned, the climate smart agriculture. We are doing exactly that one. This time, you find that most of our farmers have adopted what we say, in the past we were just planting maybe 8 seedlings at one planting station, but now it's 1 seedling per planting station, which enables the plant to develop a good root system and it bears a lot of grains, unlike when you plant more seedlings. I think I took Moira to the field the other day. It was deliberate because she comes from here, she has to see what they were doing. Moira has the experience.
You want to comment, Moira, you're here, about what you saw, or? Who's gone? There was another question back to you.
Hi, this one's for Mary. I was wondering how you go about selecting and contacting your small suppliers, and how do you know that they're following the fair trade practices?
Yes, we don't change our suppliers very often, so we get to know them. We currently have 5 suppliers. And it is through discussion, it's through, well, actually it's through auditing. When that CASFA decided that getting WFTO status was a good thing for them, we provided the funds to do it. Interestingly enough, it was done during COVID times when borders were closed. So WFTO had nobody in Malawi, because as we said, CASFA were the first people to do it. So they actually had to train somebody in Malawi to enable them to do the audit on behalf of themselves and on behalf of us. So that was a plus from COVID. Somebody had to be educated to do this. Obviously, all their education was done online. They then did the audit of CASFA, and that then keeps going. So that audit, just like we have to be audited by WFTO every 2 or 3 years to ensure that we are still abiding, that we are still doing the right things, so does anybody else. So we've now been putting through the Meru people in Kenya through the same sort of thing. For the other producers, we have to ensure that they are doing what we deem to be the 10 principles of fair trade. And we do that by discussing with them, by observing what they do, by their answers to questions. We don't take on producers lightly, because you cannot take on a producer and, if you like, build them up and then say, oh, sorry, we're not doing it. That is the worst thing you can do. So our business is about sustainability, and sustainability in relationships is probably about the most important thing. Does that answer it?
Any final questions? Oh, what are the 10 principles of fair trade? That's a good place to write up.
When we were being audited to get our guaranteed status, I think it probably was during COVID as well. So we didn't need to do it all. So no, it has to be 2019. I wasn't in the office that day because I live 2 hours drive away. And I got a surprise phone call. And the phone call was from the auditor who said, "Can you tell me the 10 principles of fair trade?" Well, of course, that was a challenge. And you know the one that I missed out? Trading fairly. I got all the others. And I thought, what's the 10th? And of course, it is the overarching. So I don't know that I can tell you them all. It is clearly transparency in everything you do. It is not abuse of children. It is equal gender opportunities. It is capacity building. It is fair pricing. It is environmental. It is you are asking a difficult question. It is. Has anybody Googled it in the last 2 minutes? Because you ought to have been. Somebody from school ought to have been doing that.
Probably a good point to finish and say, let's all go away and remind ourselves of the 10 principles of fair trade. They fit quite well with the sustainability goals, but please don't go away and look them up. We have, as Mary said, we have 3 suppliers, I think, who are all signed up to WFTO standards. They're very taxing. They ask a lot of producers. There's a huge amount of work for CASPA to go through all the audits necessary. But they're really important principles. And I'm not going to try and fill in the missing ones, so I think we need to go in and just remind ourselves, but they're very easy to find online. There was one question? Right at the back. We'll make this the last question.
Fråga till mig där, Howard. I live in the north of Malawi also, where we can buy rice on the side of the road and in the supermarket. But what difference does it make to your smallholders to be able to export? How does that differ to the rice that's kept in the country?
Yeah, so Mary already mentioned, I think, what exported to us is about 10% of the rice that they grow. Is that important to have that market? Why didn't you just sell it all locally?
We cannot sell all locally because it was our opportunity when we met these people that we started exporting the rice. And there is a huge difference between those people who just do other businesses and we as an organization which is able to export. As I have mentioned, by exporting our rice to Scotland, we are being assisted in many ways. It's not only on the business side, even in our households, in the community. I think I mentioned that we have youth government center where our children are able to learn skills. We are a fair trade organization. Everything that we do, where we even get a better price on our commodity than those who are not members who just sell to vendors who come without a common price for the non-members. So we have many advantages, including that we are able to visit Europe where you are not supposed.
So it's more than just a trading relationship. It's about developing a whole partnership, and we like to see ourselves as partners rather than just purchasers and retailers. Thanks for all those great questions. A lot of them are ones that don't have easy answers, but yeah, great to hear them all. Thanks to Mary and Howard for lots of information about the Fair Trade Partnership that we have. And thank you to everybody for coming along. Now, we're going to be here till about 3 o'clock, so please feel free to hang around, talk to Howard, talk to us, ask. Sometimes there are things you want to ask that you don't want to ask with everyone sitting around listening. We're here just to talk and chat. There is tea and coffee. There is, and I know some of the pupils were keen not to be interrupted. There's samples of jam and chutneys and things to taste. Please feel free to taste them and then go home and take a card with our online shop details and persuade your parents to buy some for you. That would be good. There's also goodies to buy from the One World shop. There's a stall at the end, but the shop is also open downstairs with a wider range of goods, and there's lots of things. It's just down below us, the One World shop, so there are lots of fair trade goods to buy there. So we'll close the formal bit of the meeting, but please stay around, do your shopping, do your tasting, and have some tea and coffee. And thank you to everybody.